My dear compatriots, fellow Cameroonians, it has been 4 days since Issa Tchiroma Bakari gave his ultimatum, demanding that Paul Biya releases everyone that was arrested during the post-election crisis. But since then, we've not heard anything, right? No update, no follow-up statement, just silence. So today we need to ask the hard question: has Issa Tchiroma Bakari given the people false hope? And beyond that, where does Cameroon go from here? When Issa Tchiroma Bakari first spoke, his words echoed across the country. He spoke with conviction, right? As if change was near. As if the people finally had a voice that could challenge a decades-old system. But 4 days of silence later, reality is setting in. Foreign governments from France to the United States, from the European Union to the African Union, have already congratulated Mr. Paul Biya and officially recognized him as the president of Cameroon. That single diplomatic gesture changed everything, right? Because when the world recognizes a leader, they strengthen his legitimacy, even if his people question it. So who does Chiroma turn to now? And what real options are left on the table, right? Chiroma's situation is a very complex one. We must say that, right? He may have the people's sympathy, but without the support of the military or the backing of major international players, his influence might just remain limited. Yeah. Even if an international body like the United Nations or even the African Union wanted to step in, they cannot appoint a new president in Cameroon. They don't have the powers to. They can call for investigation, they can request dialogue, but the right to govern lies with the Cameroonian state. And do you know where that right lies today? Yep, it still rests in the hands of Mr. Paul Biya. So yes, Chiroma can call for justice. He can expose the truth, which we all know and have been trying to do. But unless there is internal alignment, be it political, military, and civil, his work still just risks being reduced to rhetoric, right? Let's talk about something that always comes up, and this is Biya's age. At 92 years old, he is one of the oldest heads of states in the world. But here's a question we must ask honestly. Are Cameroonians more concerned about his age or about the way he runs the country? Because age is in itself not leadership's biggest problem. If Biya were governing effectively, if the roads were built, the hospitals functional, the economy growing, and the youth empowered, perhaps people would view his longevity as stability, not as stagnation, right? But the frustration of many Cameroonians, it's not just about how long he has ruled, it is about how he has ruled. It's about decades of corruption, inequality, and fear. The most important one, fear. It's about a system that rewards loyalty over merit and silence over truth. So yes, his age matters symbolically, but it is the quality of his governance that draws the anger, not the number of candles on his birthday cake. That brings us to one of the most sensitive parts of Cameroon's puzzle, the military. Yes. If the people are truly dissatisfied, why hasn't the military stepped in? Is Biya more powerful than the nation's own forces? Right? The truth is that the Cameroonian military isn't just a security institution. It is an ecosystem that has been strategically nourished by the regime. Right? Many of its top officials have benefited directly or indirectly, maybe through contracts, lands, promotions, or even just influence. We know how our people like power, right? They are not just soldiers. They are stakeholders in the current system. And that's why it is unrealistic for us to expect them to act against the structure that protects their privileges. Yeah, they might not all support Biya. Trust me, they might not all support Biya, but many of them have too much to lose by standing against him. It's not about loyalty anymore. I think at this point it has become about survival. So once again, the people are left in the middle, the silent majority bearing the consequences of the political games they did not start. The protests are met with force, voices are silenced, dreams are suffocated. Yet the people continue to hope. Why? Because hope is the only thing left that hasn't been taken away from them. And it is also important to remember that no international savior is going to come for Cameroon. Real change in Cameroon will not come from outside. No, it will come from within, from citizens who have decided that they have a role to play in building the country they want to live in. Yeah. And this is where the Cameroonian youth come in. Over 70% of the population is under 35. That's not just statistic, okay? That is power. But power means nothing if it is not organized, informed, and intentional. One of the biggest ways the Cameroonian youth can shape the Cameroon they desire, right, is by getting involved in civic life, in local politics, in entrepreneurship, in journalism, and in movements that promote accountability. Change does not always start with protest. Sometimes it starts with participation, with registering to vote, with monitoring the elections, with speaking up, and with refusing to let apathy be the norm. The future of Cameroon cannot continue to be negotiated by those who have already lived theirs. It must be built by those who still have theirs ahead, the youth. And then there is the question that people will whisper underneath their breath, even if they don't speak it out loud, and they will say, hey, is Paul Biya God's choice for Cameroon? Some people will say yes, because nothing happens outside of divine will. Others will say no, because God does not ordain oppression. But maybe the real reason isn't about whether Biya was chosen. Maybe it is about whether we are willing to take responsibility for our nation's direction. Maybe, just maybe, God has given us the tools, the voice, right, the mind, and He's willing, He is waiting to see what we can do with what He has given us, with these tools that He has given us. 4 days of silence from Tchiroma does not mean the end of hope, right? It simply reminds us that no single person can change Cameroon alone. Leadership is important, but citizenship is power. So as the world congratulates Biya, as opposition leaders strategize, as the people watch and wait, let's remember this. The future of Cameroon will not be decided by those in power, but those who refuse to give theirs away. Yeah. So yeah, if you believe in dialogue, in justice, in participation, do not forget to share, like, and subscribe this video, because the conversation about Cameroon's future must continue. And it all has to do with little voices. Maybe this 15 minutes video. Maybe just you sharing it so that another person can have that awareness. And just by sharing this or commenting or liking, right, it might give somebody that is probably thinking of how they can contribute to the future of Cameroon. And when we talk about participation, that as youth, the youth may not be passive. We don't just sit and wait, that we may see the need to actively be involved. Because at this point, as I've said in other videos, and even as Issa Tchiroma has said in most of the speeches that he made, he called on the military, because where we are in Cameroon, I don't know what else is going to bring us the change we desire if the military doesn't step up. At least that is my own personal instinct. Okay, I'm not saying it is the only way, but that is how I feel based on history, based on the things that we've seen, and based on the fact that the institutions in Cameroon that might be able to help to make sure that the people's voices are amplified. All of these institutions are run by the same person we are trying to run away from. What can you do? He still has the power. He runs these institutions. He still has the power over the military, right? What can we do? All hope is not gone. But as I said in the video, there is need for us to start participating, not just be passive participants in our politics, but be active in whichever way possible, in whichever way you deem necessary, that it can continue to create this awareness that has been ignited in us this 2025 elections. Stay glued, and as I always say, God bless Cameroon, God bless Africa in miniature, God bless the continent. Let's see what happens. Day 4, counting and waiting, just like many of you who listen to me. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.